Hey everybody, I'm out for a walk in the rain. Check it out. It's amazing, eh? Well, I stopped off in this old barn. It's called the Sgubor Wen, the White Barn. And it's on an old path. There's the path now. You can't really see it. It sort of goes up there past the trees on the other side of the barn. It's called the Milk Path, where people used to walk to collect the milk from all the farms along the way. And it's above the Dysunny Valley. And it's one of my favourite places to tell stories. So I thought I'd just come up here today, have a fire and a drink. Take the dogs for a walk. Hi dogs. And tell you a story. And I'm going to tell you a story today about the wind and the rain. It's quite appropriate really, isn't it? And this story is about a little fisher boy who used to live in Tywyn, down the valley. And he used to go fishing every single day because that was all the money he could earn. And that was all of the food that his family would have. And so he would take his canoe out each day and he would paddle it out to sea to try to catch fish. But for any of you who have ever been to Tywyn on holiday, or in fact live in Tywyn, you will know that Tywyn is often really, really windy. And so he always struggled to keep his canoe still while he tried to go fishing. But there were other fishermen in Tywyn who had loads more money than he did, and they had big boats with sails and oars to row it. And it was easy for them to catch loads and loads and loads of fish. And this made Jack really, really annoyed. Everybody used to say, Jack, you live a good life, take it easy. You catch a couple of fish, you're not going hungry, it's all fine, just chill out. But Jack got really, really impatient. He didn't like the fact that everybody else caught more fish than he did. And so, one day, he went to his grandmother. Now, his grandmother happened to be a kingfisher. I know, guys, pause the story, but in this story, people take the image of other animals. So just go with it. You'll be all right, okay? I promise. So, back to the story. Sorry. Jack's grandmother was a kingfisher. And he went to her and he said to her, Grandmother, can you tell me, please, why the wind always blows at Tywyn? And his grandmother looked at him. Well, grandson, that's a strange question to ask. The wind is always blowing in Tywyn. Yes, said Jack, but I want to know why the wind blows. Well, seeing that you're asking, up on the top of the big mountain, Cadair Idris, there is a giant dragon. And this is a wind dragon. And every time that dragon flaps its wings, the wind blows down the Dysunny Valley and ends up out at sea. Oh, said Jack. That's a bit interesting. And with that, Jack left and went home. And as he walked home along the beach, a plan started to form in his head. And so, the very next day, Jack packed a rucksack with a sandwich and a drink, and off he went, climbing Cadair Idris, the mountain. And he went higher and higher and higher, past Llanddiangol and up towards the Bwlch above Dolgellau, and then started climbing the ridge up towards Cyfri. And as he climbed, it got windier and windier and windier. And soon he found himself only being able to crawl up the mountain. And it got windier and windier and windier until it got so windy it blew his eyebrows off his face. He carried on climbing towards Pen y Gadair and he got to the final rock step, and it got so windy it blew his shirt off his back and his trousers off his legs, and all he had left on was a pair of underpants. He climbed the last rock step right the way up to the summit of Pen y Gadair, and on the top of Pen y Gadair there stood a great big dragon. Look at the fire, you guys. I'm just going to put a couple of logs on her. Keep me warm on this rainy, miserable day. There we go. Right. So where was I? Oh yes, a great big dragon. Now, you guys, I don't know if you know this, but all the dragons in Wales are our grandparents. And this dragon was Grandfather Wind Dragon. And so, little Jack, he said, Grandfather, stop flapping just for a minute, please. Just for a minute. I want to chat to you. So, Grandfather stopped flapping and the wind died down. And Jack said, listen, Grandfather, I've got this plan. You're stuck on this mountain, aren't you? Because you're a wind dragon, not a flying dragon. Yes, said Grandfather Dragon. Well, I'll tell you what I'll do. I've come all the way up here from Tywyn just to do you a favour. He said, I will carry you from Pen y Gadair all the way along the ridge to Mynydd Moel. And you can sit there and flap for a while. It's a different place, you know. Give yourself a break. Oh, that's jolly decent of you, grandson. And so, Jack, out of his rucksack, took a rope. And he tied Grandfather's wings all tight to his tummy. And then, grabbing the rope, he picked him up and he started walking along the ridge. Halfway along the ridge, for those of you who have been there, there's a big chasm, a crack, a deep, dark hole in the mountain. And as Jack stepped over, he accidentally, on purpose, dropped Grandfather Dragon down the hole. Accidentally, on purpose. None of you guys have ever done anything like that, have you? No, I'm sure you haven't. Anyway, there it was. Grandfather Dragon jammed down the bottom of the hole. And so, as quick as a flash, Jack ran down the mountain all the way to Tywyn. He got his canoe out and off he went fishing. And on that day, Jack filled his canoe so full of fish he could hardly sit in it. The next day he went out again and he filled his canoe again, so full up he could hardly get in. And the next day, and the next day, and the next day, and the next day. But the following week, a strange thing happened. The fish started to disappear. Jack still caught loads more than he'd ever done before, but only half a canoe. And the week after that, a quarter of a canoe. And the week after that, only 4 fish. And something else was happening. He realised that the water out to sea was getting a bit, well, smelly, a bit murky. And he noticed lots of dead fish lying on the surface of the water. And when he looked back onto shore, he noticed that the trees were all down and wilting, and the grass was brown and dead. And then Jack realised what he'd done. He'd taken away the wind, and without the wind, there was no rain. And without the rain, there was no green, and all the oxygen was being taken out of the water, and everything was going wrong. Jack had messed about. And so, as quick as he could, he paddled to shore, and he got his rucksack, and he started to climb the mountain. But it was so hot. He practically crawled on his belly. He climbed up past Llanfihangel onto the bwlch above Dolgellau, and then past Cwfri and on to Pen y Gader. And he crawled over the summit, barely being able to take a breath. And then he got to the chasm, and he looked down into the chasm, and there was Grandfather Dragon, all jammed in the hole. And he reached down and pulled Grandfather out. And he put Grandfather on top of the mountain, and he undid his wings, and his wings came out, and for the first time in weeks, Jack felt a lovely, lovely breeze. A breeze blowing, cooling him down, cooling the land down. Now, not to be completely outdone, Jack said to Grandfather, "Grandfather, I am so sorry. I made a great mistake. Will you forgive me?" And dragons being dragons, of course, he did. And then Jack said, "Grandfather, maybe, just maybe, every now and again, would you mind just not flapping, or just flapping a little bit slower?" "I suppose I could do that," said Grandfather Dragon. And from that day to this, that's exactly what happened. I hope you enjoyed that story. I'm not sure Kelp did. There she is, my naughty dog. Did you hear her? Making all her little yelping. I don't know whether that means she likes my stories or not. Storm goes to sleep when I tell stories. Kelt makes a fuss. Say bye, dogs. Bye, children. Bye, children. All right, guys. See you soon. Bye.